Hello everyone, this is StoryHive On Location, Vancouver with beats, eats, and more! I'm your host RitaSpirit and we are broadcasting live from Norovera studio here on unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish First Nation. Big shout outs to TELUS STORYHIVE who's made today's episode possible. Today on the show we have someone who wears a lot of hats and makes all of them look great. Misto is a DJ, dancer, and community event organizer rooted in the street dance world of Vancouver, Toronto, and beyond. She shares stages with legends like Crystal Waters, Barbara Tucker, Tony Touch, and many more. And she brings that same level of intention to every set she plays. Today we are sitting down for a DJ to DJ conversation about music, street and club dance, and more. Welcome, Misto.
Thank you.
So we have a lot to talk about, and let's start talking about your roots. Growing up in Toronto dance scene, how did that environment shape your approach to music?
Yeah. So first of all, the interest came from this TV program called Electric Circus on Much Music, and just as a kid, like when I say kid, I mean like when I was 3 to 6, seeing how on TV the downtown core transformed into a club, the programming building, and they bring DJs from all over the world, and even from like Canada locally, and then from the US. And then they also have go-go dancers, but they were essentially also street dancers on these podiums, and they would also have local people just come in there and club. So you could see how on TV, how a club could look like in Toronto. And then on top of that, experiencing all ages clubs, having mixed ages and different warehouses, different clubs where there's rooms for different types of music. So there would be like one room that's like strictly reggaeton, another room that's like strictly hard style, and then trance, and so many different types of music. And there was just everyone and every kind would just move between rooms. So I was really like interested on how the DJs plays a part of that, but then everyone else as just enjoying the space. Then my cousin got really into popping, and yeah, and that's where my entry of what a street dance community looks like. So at the time, Frank Boogie was teaching regular weekly classes, and we would take those classes and in a space called Street Dance Academy. This is at Queen and Spadina, and that's where I learned about street dance over like the rave culture that I know. And I started volunteering there, and that was kind of from the story of like understanding music in a street dance lens. And I was still super quiet, super introverted, super shy. And so dance was a way to give me a platform to figure out how to connect with people without words. Eventually, like I started to be able to connect with people through partying in a different way, where you didn't have to dress up a certain way. In Toronto, you had to go in a dress code, but then I didn't realize there were also bars where you didn't have to do that. And then from there, like understanding how club culture in the underground lens worked. So now we're talking about rave culture, street dance culture, and then this underground party culture. And I started doing promotion at some point because I started working both dance studios, promoting these like parties. And then from there, I learned who the OGs were in Toronto for DJing. And then they gave me a chance, and that's how things became to be. It started tumbling from there. Yeah.
And talking like about your DJ journey, was there a specific moment that like you were like, yeah, okay, now like I'm starting DJing, and you were mentioning about OGs in Toronto, and was there any specific OG who mentored you, or there were a couple of OGs?
Yeah, a lot of it self-taught. So me being very interested in technology in general,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll find that I'm a bit of a nerd. So uh, starting out with, so I guess 16 was like a accessible time for me where I didn't have a lot of my parents knowing what I was doing really. Like I'll give them vague answers, but at the time I was able to get like with my cousins, they had like turntables, and then I had like a Hercules used to have like really nice metal controllers, and I would
Oh,
practice through like virtual DJ and like learning that, watching what I would find online. YouTube wasn't really like taking off just yet, so a lot of that was self-taught, and then going to parties and watching what they were doing. So in terms of dance battle, Gripski was playing for like a b-boy jam, and that was like my first in-person kind of like battle, and then going to a popping battle as well, Son of Soul, and then as I felt confident to go to more of the underground parties because I was really shy, um, the one that got me hooked was Footprints
Hmm.
at the Rivoli. So that was General Electric and Jason Palma.
Jason Palmer.
Yeah, you spun with him the last time you were in Toronto. And in terms of like influences, these were just the starting points. And then when I start getting into house dance, Fly Lady Di, who was like my
Mm.
first house dance teacher, she would always play her roommate Dirty Dale's playlist. And then that's where my
Dirty Dale was her roommate? Wow.
yeah. Yep. And so that's where my like change of music went from like trance hardstyle and stuff went into like, oh, house can be like this and so much more soul and funness to it. And it's just the way that all of these first impressions that I had of local Toronto DJs, that it's just so rich in realizing that we have our own history as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of my, in terms of the mentorship, it wasn't so much mentorship, but like seeing them and seeing how everyone was so individualistic, and me trying it out as well and then finding my own with it, understanding how like they put their soul into the mixer and like how they play with the technology they have or don't have, um, and then me being like the type of person who read the manual through and through, like what am I capable of doing? Yeah.
Right. And what it's been like to connect with Vancouver dance and music community for you?
Yeah, I would say like, I guess starting 2019 was only when I really was able to travel, and we in the East Coast would see all the footage that comes from VSDF, and our friends would come back and say how much of a great time it is, great weather.
Shout out to VSDF,
Yeah.
Vancouver Street Dance Festival.
And then when I was finally able to travel, it just so happened that the year that I wanted to go was like when I got invited to DJ. So yeah, it was just like a nice alignment of like me feeling ready to come and then being able to DJ for VSDF. It was really nice. And then having to experience a very nice, clean, beautiful city. And then being in terms of the street dance scene, or at least everyone on the West Coast, because I do realize that VSDF is a good attraction for bringing the nation and also like anyone else on the West Coast to come through to this very moment of like in Canada. And it was always this like fun, like silly, but then like there's also like single categories. You're still pretty serious, but there's this like playfulness that the street dance scene in Vancouver has, to be able to be uh I guess in like East Coast kind of like burns are more like serious,
Mm,
whereas the burns here is kind of like really silly.
yeah.
And yeah, I enjoy it, and it kind of goes with the type of music I like to play, which is usually playful or groovy in how I would describe my sound.
How is it to be female DJ in street dance and club scenes? How was your experience? How was it when you started? Did it change now?
Yeah, I would say they're both different but similar. So I'll talk on street dance because that seems a little bit more straightforward, where it was mostly men who was DJing for street dance, or it was straight up was men
Yeah.
DJing for battles in
Yeah.
Toronto. Um, and I maybe didn't think of it that way, but more so, there's a lot of hip hop and funk playing in these open styles, all style battles.
Yeah.
And of course, it's going to be a hip hop dancer, breaker, or a popper that wins because that's the music that's going to be
Yeah.
played. Um, and yeah, again, I'm like a earn your stripes kind of person, so I was more of an observer. And at some point, I just wanted to play, so I started off as like there was two routes. One, I made my own jam. First doing yeah, it was called Experience Point. So there wasn't a jam for whackers and house dancers for a while, and it was called Experience Point because it was for people who were too shy to battle. And in Toronto at the time, if you weren't good enough, you shouldn't be battling and wasting people's time.
Oh,
So there was a perception of that.
right.
But experience point in video games, you're gaining your experience points.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
funny.
And I level setted with the judges. So it was Dale, Icy, there was Tyrone also doing that one, but definitely Tyrone was DJing for whacking as well. And or it was Snap. But yes, so they were judging and they knew that this was the concept and like they were so open about it. That's how you're going to have more community people battling. Um, and then yeah, like from there, I was just learning how to DJ. So there was a lot of feedback, but so was also folks who were DJing with me. So they were also newer DJs. Adrian Chan, Makiko,
Hmm.
and G Fun was
Mm.
also DJing as well. So
Oh, different.
we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
all gaining our experience points essentially. Yeah. So from there, there was a lot of feedback about my organizing, which is fair. It was my first one doing it by myself. And then there's a university called like Waterloo, which is outside of Toronto, like way outside of Toronto. They have their battle called Community. Same idea. It's a university jam where it's mostly getting like exposure to street dance and other dances. They had like choreo folks like would perform as well. And I would attend there and also battle. And then I reached out to them like, hey, like I would love to start learning to or like being able to DJ battles in open format kind of like category. And again, like I also just didn't like the music. It's more like hip hop funk, but then it was also pop. Like I got into semifinals with two Justin Bieber songs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love this.
time and place. But yeah, I was like, I would want to try. And then this is where I start playing other like different styles and like understanding which styles would be catered to. And my challenge was I know all the dancers, and that's kind of the thing that I like to get to know and like see what people like to dance. And my challenge was anytime I saw like their styles go against each other, what would be a great song for them. So I was pretty quick on knowing like how to play for a house dancer versus a crump dancer
Right.
and play what would be an even ground for them, but
Yeah.
in a way that they would feel platformed. Um, the criticism there was like it was unfair, and I feel like it was like in a way that like from an outside perspective, but then in the dancer perspective is like I love that. Like I felt so nervous, and you made it feel easier. So like it's I just feel like as like there's a new DJ kind of like in the scene. I'm going to give unsolicited advice. But I don't know if that was my gender that was like that. Another feedback was when there was more. This is before Bossy, which is a street dance company platforming street dance
Yeah.
women. Before then there was other jams for women, and I was hired to DJ it. And there was a criticism of like me playing women, like music that is either sung or produced by women, and it was overly too much. Oh, Queen of the Hill. Yes, there was actually feedback about that. Um, and it gives you a question mark about it. It's like, and it's like, do you know what this jam is?
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's like when I reflected back and I look at my playlist, it's like I naturally have that in my playlist.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
And female artists like are way too much too overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the I noticed like most of the music that's been playing in the battles is by male producers, male male vocals too, and like how the energy in the room. I mean, maybe like in house is less, but like when we're talking especially about hip hop, yeah, and like how the energy in the room switch when you play female artists.
Yeah. And then also content wise too.
And
like,
content wise.
Like, why do I want to ever play misogynistic stuff?
Yeah.
And,
exactly. That part.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and maybe people be like, well, the beat is fire, or like if it's Chris Brown, like I don't want to trigger someone, and it triggers me. Like it's not even like me just thinking about if someone has trigger symptoms to domestic abuse.
Yeah.
But ultimately it feels icky.
Yeah.
With messages that I don't align with. And if you want to listen to them, it's not from me, that's okay. Like then you're not going to be able to request that for me.
Yep.
But yeah, that's in the street dance lens where like I feel like the criticism, I don't really think about it too hard, and I don't know if it's more of that back then I was like more of a newbie rather than a gender. It's like, but then in parties, I feel like that's where it becomes a little bit more apparent. Because again, the unsolicited advice, and a little bit maybe of like the whole like that transition sucked, like you better be careful about that. It might be more brotherly, or it could be also like a warning of like this is going to be even harder because you're presenting as like a woman.
Yeah.
The other thing that was common as a party is generally when you see me DJ, I'm like a calculative person. So I look either stressed or like I'm observing like hard, like a computer. And people will be like, why don't you look like you're having fun? Or like, why aren't you like dancing? Why aren't you like dressed up a certain way? Like there's all these expectations. But then like, what about my male peers? Are you telling them that they should be dancing more while they're DJing? Like
or they should dress up.
Yeah. They're wearing a t-shirt and jeans.
Exactly.
So am I.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's the presentation of like how a woman should be like looking like as a DJ. And like I definitely don't go to even clubs where they tell me that I should look a certain way to play in that venue.
Yeah.
Chop. Yeah, it's just not for me. But then like when you see all the male roster, again, they're just wearing a t-shirt and jeans, whereas women have to have like a dress code of like wearing a dress or like a crop top and all that stuff, which is fine. That's like a way to feel confident. That's just not me, and it shouldn't be a requirement to be put on me. If anything, I still don't like to be seen when I'm DJing. Yeah, like I would rather be like no lights on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you do you prepare for when you play party and battle? How do you prepare? And yeah, which songs you choose to play in which context?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned that in events like female battle, maybe you focus more on the female artist.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For single style, I think about the context and cultural grounding of that. I think about also what does the judge like to dance to, because their context could be in a different lens as well. So there's either now like an assumption of what they might like, and then maybe like hopefully the organizer will also share it as well. So I think about like that because I think it matters for the prelims that people have the understanding of foundation of that dance. So I'm a whacker, so that means soul and disco will be the main thing that you'll hear in my prelim. Um, and then I also think about ciphers in like two buckets. It's like one is battle time and ways that you could warm up, and then the other is chill out for the audience, for people who are coming to watch, or even if you like didn't make it for the battle, that you feel like I can relax. So those are like the two types of ciphers I would do. And then as you progress in the bracket, I would play more of like songs that are still honoring the culture, but where do I want that to go? Because as time goes by, music is different today versus when those dances were being formed. And the connection of that is different because now you're thinking those dances, it is what the OGs experience of exciting new music then. Um, there's also really great new music or remixes of old music that could have people who feel relevant on this day with those dances in the context of that dance. So I really try to push that of what I feel where that could go. And I also like to research in this place of like to the next bracket of what that city likes to dance to. So like I teach I teach DJing as well, and I have a student that went back to their country in Asia, and they were about uh, to play for a whacking category, and he was asking me for my opinion because they don't listen to disco as much.
Yeah.
And like they want to educate
Yeah.
them about that, and I think that's okay, but it's also understanding what their context of what their beginnings of whacking is.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you honor still like so that they don't feel dismissed about their upbringing of whacking, but also like knowing what the culture of like where that was probably uprooted from.
Yeah.
So like really understanding what that city is comfortable with.
Yeah.
And maybe pushing the boundaries is in that way of like bringing foundation in. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say single category. That's how I prep for it is like honoring everything, the present and the past, and then hopefully the future. And then for all styles is probably the hardest to prep for.
Yeah.
I
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's the most common type of battle in North
yeah,
America.
Yeah.
All styles.
Yeah, I think about the parameters I have, and we talk about this. So, like the past weekend was Thrice as Nice, and I knew that it is hustle. So I know it was going to be disco, and then also like even types of music. I also hustle as well, so I know the BPM has to be a certain way, and I can't bring it back to lower. So it's like usually like 95 to 117 is the range for hustle for BPM.
Starting from 95. Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit slow for battle, but
Yeah.
people would
still
yeah,
like R&B type of.
Yeah, exactly. So I think about songs that can be brought down or in that range without dishonoring what that music is made for.
Yeah.
So there's that in consideration, and then for open styles, I could either go two ways where I would know who the dancers are, and I kind of know most of the dancers in Vancouver, but for this, I just wanted to be playful.
Yeah.
I also knew Michael the movie came out,
Yeah.
so I knew it was going to be a lot of Michael, and the other DJs might like love playing them. And I think the only thing I wanted was like, I think that's the last song that I'm going to play for the event, because I knew probably the whole discography is going to be played through the weekend. Yeah, so I just for this I try to play by themes, and I love playing remixes. So I was thinking, what theme can I have for rock? Because I love rock, and I did a whole set of that, and then another set was all girl groups.
Yeah.
So
you teamed it well.
Yeah.
I love the thought behind.
Yeah, like how like all styles doesn't have to be super serious, and even though there's money in the line, it's like it's fun. It's meant to be fun. So I just made sure that's how All Styles is curated for.
Right.
In terms of parties, there's 2 types, maybe 3. So like one that I prep really hard for is, or like really to the T, is when I'm opening for some sort of performer that like I really want to make sure that I'm platforming. I'm usually an opening DJ and I love doing that. And how do I honor who's going to perform and also to story tell a certain way while also making sure people feel comfy and not too like, I'm not playing bangers. I'm making sure that they want to have connection in the room immediately, whether that means connecting because they need courage juice at the bar, or that means to be able to 2-step. As long as we get to 2-step, we're not going to get some wall huggers or waiting for people to like get started in the party. So that's my goal for when I'm opening for a DJ. When I DJ with people that are in the scene, and they're usually OGs I really respect, I think about what kind of sound that they will play, what songs do they tend to play, and then is it that I'm only opening, or do I get 2 sets where I get an opening and closing? And then sometimes I decide to have a theme for it. So whether that is a story of someone like interested as someone into someone to like play that in the party. So like flirtatious. Sometimes it's about confidence. Sometimes it's about breakups. Sometimes it's about cheating. Like I like to play these themes at my peak time because it's really fun to like be able to take someone to a story.
Yeah.
And
we have like a lot of upcoming DJs. You are as a DJ with so much experience and DJing in different venues and for different scenes. What would you advise young generation or advise yourself? If you meet yourself back.
I really, really think in your scene there's someone who is already doing it. Maybe not exactly how you envision it, but I think observing what the community offers now is quite important to acknowledge and experience. So see what is already there and what can you add to it. And don't rush into trying to add it, because I feel that if you have this burning idea too soon, you might burn yourself in different ways. So it's whether that's realizing that maybe you don't have the amount of people you would have expected to come because people don't know you yet, and that's okay. That's how you're going to build. So having the passion and like patience to build yourself. And then also sometimes people like don't know what change feels like. So if you are making a change, be patient with that to eventually know what your mission is and what your value is as an artist, as a DJ, and stick with it. Like even if you feel like people don't get it, when you build yourself, people will, and people will hire you for you. And I love that I get hired for myself, for me, rather than occasionally I'll get wedding gigs and all that stuff. But mostly people know exactly what I'm going to play. Yeah. And it feels good to be booked for that.
Take your time. And I have some fun rapid fire questions, so it will be really fast. So battle or party?
It has to be both. Balance. Yeah.
To all organizers. If you could DJ just one genre, which one would it be?
Soul. That might be a cop-out though, because it's kind of a lot of things.
Best DJ set you've ever experienced?
Myself or another person?
Another person.
Dirty Dale.
I never experienced it yet.
I will have to say just a little bit on him is that he is also a dancer turned DJ, and when he dances, like you could feel it on the floor, and then when he DJs, you feel it on the floor as well.
DJs who specialize deeply in one genre versus multiple genres. Which one do you prefer?
Someone who's experienced multi-genres but is sticking to one genre is how I would see it. Yeah.
If you could DJ anywhere in the world tomorrow, where would it be?
I'm open to everything. I'm an early traveler, so like I want to experience more. Yeah.
One artist whose catalog you could play all night.
Probably, I think I play a lot of Erykah Badu.
Yes, Erykah Badu. Erykah Badu.
Yeah.
The best feeling as a DJ is
just seeing bodies moving in different ways. Yeah. Yeah.
Favorite late night food after gig?
It's always fried food. Like that would be like chicken nuggets or like some sort of fried thing. Yeah.
Nice. The weirdest request someone has ever made at the gig?
So I played All Records Northern Soul party, and it was called Slow Fizz. And this lady came up to me asking for Baby One More Time, Britney Spears. And I'm holding a record of what I'm playing next. I'm like, and then her friend pulled her back. She's like, you're at the wrong party. Like, great.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I didn't have to say anything. Her friend said it for her. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all, everyone. Unless we have more questions. If you have more questions, reach out to us, Misto, where people can find you, your channels.
Yeah. My username is IceMisto, please. You can find me on Instagram a lot. I have old mixes if you want. That's on Mixcloud and SoundCloud. You could also find a couple of mixes on WeFunk as well. Yeah.
WeFunk Radio. Go check WeFunk Radio if you did not. It's legendary radio, and they have a lot of cool music. A lot. So thank you so much, everyone who tuned in for our live stream. Thank you, Ice Misto, for being on the show, for sharing your experience, for having an amazing DJ conversation. I've been looking forward to it so long and so much. And if you are a creative in Vancouver, a musician, a dancer, an artist, you can and have a story to share, you can scan the QR code on the edited version of this episode, fill the form, and you could possibly be the guest on the show. And shout out to Nora Vera Studio, where we are shooting today, and shout out to TELUS STORYHIVE for powering today's episode. And I'm RitaSpirit, and you've been watching StoryHive on Location, Vancouver, with beats, eats, and more.